person.
You are, so I saw on our list that Peter.
I know, he's out. He's out. Yeah, he was on our list originally. So for the recording, welcome everyone. I'm Wes Fryer. Today is September the 15th, 2020, and we're gathered here in person to talk a little bit about Google Certified Educator training and what it is that we would like to do in terms of supporting teachers. And so today's plan, and I thought we'd go for a 30-minute meeting because like that's doable. And if we want to go longer or whatever in the future, we can really do, as long as people want to do it, we can do whatever we want. But I thought we'd do a quick check-in, even though I always want to skip over that and just go straight to the content, but we don't have very many people, so it'll be fast. So the check-in question is, what's your biggest teaching adjustment this year been? Which I'm sure is going to be, I can think of a few things for that. I want to just talk real briefly about the overview. I took my test today for level 1. I had registered a week ago, and you have like 8 days to take it. And as long as I logged in before 2:15 this afternoon, I would not lose my $10. And so anyway, I did it. It took me about 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
And I had to sign the good old non-disclosure agreement. But anyway, I'll share with you the overview of that and then some ideas of maybe what we want to do to support others. Ben Oldham actually did this, I guess, on his own last year. There may be some other people, I don't know. But then I thought we might today, if we have time, we could do this later, but like each session kind of take a tool and then do some tips about that, because that's what a lot of the test was. It was like giving me a task to say in YouTube, da-da-da-da, and I had like, 10 things to do. And then we can talk about meeting and what we want to do next time. So biggest adjustment of the year. For me, it's teaching Spanish. So I'm teaching 2 sections of Spanish along with 4 sections of computer. And so like the hardest thing for me is like switching my brain because I'm like in the mode and it's like, okay, I got to stop talking Spanish. Anyway, but it's fun. We're having fun. So hopefully the kids are, the goal is that they get excited about Spanish and they continue to take it because they have half a year of Spanish and half a year of French. So if none of the 5th graders this year sign up for Spanish, then I will have failed. But hopefully somebody will.
I'm just like trying to wrap my head around the fact that you have 6 classes.
Yeah, so I'm actually getting to be full-time teaching, although I've got some breaks. So I mean, yeah. But yeah, it's turned out to be a wonderful thing in many, many ways. It's allowed me to actually step away from some things that I've needed to pass to others. And now that I'm teaching all these classes, I can't do some of those things. And that's been good. So Emily, how about you? What's been one of your biggest adjustments?
The biggest teaching work adjustment has just been the time. Adapting to this new schedule that we have in upper division has been far more challenging than I had originally anticipated. I mean, we just don't have a free moment. And if I don't have first period off and my work's not done, by office hours, it's probably not going to get done that day.
Yeah.
Because, this is the time of year too when the seniors need letters written for college, and, the juniors, we just had our first test. And so just trying to negotiate this new schedule has been probably the biggest adjustment.
How about you, sir?
I would echo that. When I read your question, I thought everything was the thing that kind of came to mind.
Right.
It's the new schedule, it's the flex learners, it's the fact that I have a new technology piece, it's the
Masks?
Yes, although I think if it were just masks, I would probably be fine.
Right.
It's trying to really explore learning management systems. I really tried to give my Casady an honest shot at the beginning of the year.
I did too last year.
Lasted 3 weeks before I said, well, if I'm going to use this as a robust learning management system, I can't do it anymore.
Right.
But that's another conversation.
It is, and it could be joined to this because I really want, and I'm doing this for the first semester. So because of babies and schedules and faculty that are out, they're changing the way they do languages in the middle division. So Spanish is only being taught in the fall, and every fifth grader takes French in the spring. So I'm only actually doing this for the year. So, or sorry, for the semester. So for the next half of the year, I'll have more time for coaching and things like that. And I really would love to help facilitate conversations at our school about a learning management system. So like next year, we could have a real one. I mean, I do love Google, but there's so many things we don't have that.
Well, you and I think have had conversations.
Yeah. So we can continue those. So, okay.
But yes.
Sorry, not to get sidetracked. So they're only taking, so you guys aren't on trimesters or?
So that's the only thing that's not on a trimester. So
What?
fifth grade languages, because they don't do 3 languages, they just do 2.
Yes.
Those kids, and that's fun for Ben to set up in my Casady because it's like the only class that
Oh, wow.
is that situation. So we have them for the semester, and then
Fascinating.
after Christmas they switch. But everything else in middle division's on trimester.
So many things to discuss.
Yes. So, and you know what it was is I was the office mate with Hefe last year, and so when they needed a Spanish teacher, he told Dr. Shear, yeah, sure, Wes can do that. So he threw me under the bus.
He's hilarious.
But it's fun. It's really been fun. So, okay. So in terms of overview, for a number of years, Google has had this different tiered setup for certification. I became a Google Certified Teacher back in 2005 at the very beginning of all of that. And it was neat, but it was not as scalable because you applied and you went to an actual Google campus and you spent the whole day and Googlers taught you about stuff like the guy who designed maps and was responsible for all this stuff. I went to Boulder, which is an amazing office. I think all the Google offices are probably amazing, but we spent the whole day and anyway, had this whole experience there and got to hear directly from people who made the products along with educators. But they decided that was not as scalable. Yes. And so now they have this system. And so the certified educator, which is where we probably want to recommend people begin, has these 2 different levels, and you take both of these tests, and then you become officially Google Certified Educator. Now, there's also a Certified Innovator program, and there's also certification in Google G Suite, and you can also become a Google Certified Trainer. And so they've got multiple things. This was my first time to ever take a test on a webcam. I don't know if you all have done that before, but you register. I had to log. Yeah, I logged out of all my accounts. I opened an incognito window. I had this like special login or whatever, and then the camera. And I had some people every once in a while coming in to ask me some questions. I'm like, hope you know. But anyway, it was interesting because I've talked to our daughter Sarah, who is a sophomore now at UCO, and that's how she's doing a lot of her exams. But and she's felt like anyway. But it is what it is. It's actually
very like Big Brother as well.
Yeah, it's probably good as a teacher to experience that in terms of just seeing how that feels and that whole setup. But the good news is it was $10. I'm going to talk with Nathan because we have some money in an innovation budget, and so I'm confident that we can pay for this. We can get vouchers for teachers who want to do that. And my thought is that if we can just be encouraging, but also supportive, because what I find is I need something to be a catalyst to get me to do things. There's a world of content and videos out there, and this training's all there, but finding the time and making the time to do it. And that's, anyway, what I want to see what your thoughts are, because if we can encourage each other, there's really great stuff to be learned about all of their tools that can have, positive impacts on instruction, as well as just, efficiency and getting our stuff done with tasks and email and all that kind of stuff. So the certification is good for 3 years, and the training, and they've just released a new center or whole website for it. It's pretty extensive. I took 1 hour and 15 minutes today to take it. If you fail, you have to wait 2 weeks to take it again. And then if you fail again, you have to wait 60 days in a year. But there was just, a little bit of multiple choice. The most of it were these scenarios, and they were tasks. And so having done that now and taken it, I'll have to look real carefully on the non-disclosure, but like basically it was giving you things like in a Google document or a calendar, make this, invite this person. And so you were part of a Google domain that already had contacts and all that. So it could say something like invite Emily, or Emily's parent to come to your meeting and to do things like that. So, like all multiple choice, probably it was tricky, but the majority of it was performance. It was actually using the tools to create things. And that's where I think if we consider the different elements of the Google platform, from Classroom to Forms, there wasn't stuff about Jamboard and expeditions in this one, but YouTube was one of the ones they tested on. And honestly, I think YouTube is one of the best things to help everybody learn more about, because it's so powerful as far as how you can be organizing playlists and keeping track of things and ways that you can share, and how you not use, well, this wouldn't be part of Google's testing, but I use safe share websites so that I can be sharing my links without comments and related videos and all that. So their new website has tips that you can explore, but it's got the education tool sort of modules that you can jump into. And the thing about the test is it's everything. So, like I said, it didn't cover expeditions and Jamboard, but it had elements of pretty much all the other tools that we would use: calendar, forms, docs, sites even. And I love teaching with my Google site. I use my site a lot to be able to have resources, and kids can have a link. And because I, of course, use Classroom to send them stuff, but there's, for Spanish now, a vocabulary list that we're using, videos that I want to share. So, sites could be something that we take on as another topic. Groups, actually. And that's something, I don't know if you've ever created a group, but you can just go to groups.google.com. One of the things I found as tech director, the first year I was like, what are all these groups? And we had like middle division kids and maybe some others, but we're definitely middle division, like making all kinds of groups. And they were doing stuff that I don't think anybody had taught them to do. And it wasn't bad, but some of it was like, what is this going on? So we have basically a ton of Google tools turned on for everyone. And then there are some that are not turned on. It's not that common, but an example is like Google Meet. We have upper division for all faculty and staff. We can do whatever we want. Upper division kids can start their own meets, but middle division can't.
Okay.
We have Gmail turned off for lower division.
Yeah.
We start our Google accounts when the students enter Casady, but they don't get their email active until they become a fifth grader. So anyway, I made a group called Google Certification at Casady, and so you all are in it. And if anybody else would like to join, we can put them in it.
What's the best way to access and know how to get to our?
If you just go to groups.casady.org,
Okay.
With your account, you'll see our group, and because you're a member there. And so that's one of the things I actually thought, well, shoot, I'll use this and learn about this as we're doing it, because our mailing lists, like for our divisions and for the whole school, are set up to be email only, where they don't post into this group. But and I think, I don't know, I'm not wanting to jump in and make a group necessarily for my class, but I am really interested in threaded discussions and how we can make our ideas visible, and Classroom, while it's great for a lot of things, doesn't do everything. We're using a Padlet right now to start sharing some of the books that we're reading. And so everything's not going to have a Google tool, but
it is a good learning management system, but it is not the most robust.
Yeah. And they never really marketed it as a learning management system. In COVID, it has become the default for so many people, because if they didn't have one, it was free and they could jump right into it. And then like us, we, have been partially vested, but we needed to be fully. And so we've jumped into it even more.
You said groups.casady.org?
So groups.google.
Okay, there
Or
we
if you go to your waffle and you hit, there's a group thing.
Right.
Okay.
And so here, I'll
Yeah,
log in and show you. So I just went to groups.google, and you can see these are all the different groups. So like I actually made one this summer. I did a virtual Minecraft camp. And these are things where you can create them. Admin can make it at a higher level, but we can create our own group. So I made a group for my students to be able to stay in touch with them as we were going to be doing virtual meetings and things like that. And so it's kind of cool because it archived all these messages, and it's rather than going to email and wading through all that, you can go to your group and you can see what has been posted there in the group. So you should see our Google certification group, and then we've just got 2 messages that are here, but you can see the replies and things like that. So it's a lot like email in that it is working with email. So you can send them the email to the group address and reply to that. But groups can be set up differently with different kinds of rights and things like that. Our overall school account has limited ability, so that, you know, and by the way, that's something that would be a great conversation to come out of this, would be like email guidelines. You know, I mean, we're at a point, I don't know. I'm thrilled. I was actually able to get off of the lower division, primary division, and upper division mailing lists this year because I'm not a director anymore. And so that's been lovely. Because,
that would definitely
quantity
reduce.
of email is an issue. So my thought was maybe to meet every 2 weeks. And then just like now, we're going to record this. I know Kobe Scoville, John Jensen, some others who are involved in football have expressed an interest maybe after the season. And I told them, I think this will probably be something that could just continue. I mean, there's multiple certifications. I'm glad to do this for multiple reasons. One, because I think it's great to get together and learn together. But also, I've wanted to do this. I mean, I did the Google Certified Teacher thing years ago. But just like, since they're renewing it every 3 years, they know the tools change. You want to keep on sharpening the saw. What do you all think about that idea of just trying to do something every couple of weeks? We don't have to do that. We could do something monthly.
I like the idea of being able, like, every couple of weeks is ideal. And what I'm finding, I'm also, like, mornings on B days and D days, I meet with Janet, Whitney, and Will to plan this interdisciplinary course. And then less, like, I like the idea of keeping particular, or like planning a couple of meetings out in advance, because that way it can get on my schedule.
Yep.
And it forces me to actually.
Right. This is me. I need this. I've learned this about meetings. That's why I said our last thing we're going to talk about is our next meeting. Because if I don't set a next appointment and get it on there, things can fall off my plate.
Absolutely.
I would say that the two options that we could consider, we could consider it like every 2 weeks, X number of weeks, or what we could do is we could put it on the calendar rotation. So we're saying E days or whatever. The only problem that I can think of is faculty meeting.
Yeah, so that's why a day of the week might work better, only because we always know that department chairs and faculty meetings are going to be Tuesdays.
Right.
So Tuesdays are kind of the only day, like Wednesdays, Thursdays, Mondays, even Fridays.
Until we get an upper division academic meetings.
So we happened to pick a Tuesday. We didn't have a meeting, but normally the Tuesdays is not a great day.
It's and we've got all those. So if we wanted to do Tuesday.
No, it doesn't need to be Tuesday. Sure. It can really be anything. We do Tuesday meetings.
I'm just like thinking about it. Yeah, this just happened to be a Tuesday that didn't have other.
I think we did pick a non-Tuesday. I like the idea of it having some regularity because it will be across campus. We do have some people in other divisions that have expressed some interest. Sure. And that's another great thing about these kind of things. It's kind of cool to get to talk to people in other divisions, and these tools and the ways we're using them. It's going to be differently applicable at different levels, but a lot of this is going to be applicable to everybody. So I'm completely open, and I just like that idea of saying, hey, if we could have something with some regularity, and whether you can come or not, we'll record it. But if we try to set that up kind of as a rhythm, then we can, keep this going, and it won't be the kind of thing where we said, oh yeah, we met back in September and didn't.
I think every 2 weeks is fine. It's long enough that it's spaced out, but it's short enough that I don't feel like I'm going to have a whole bunch of projects build up.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's more frequent, we can break things up into smaller chunks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that, there are programs, you can do crash courses, boot camps. They've got multiple day things to go through all these tools. Gosh, it's like a fire hose. Everything I've ever done with Google, it really is like a fire hose. Some of it's good, but we all know realistically you can only, handle so much. Right. So we could think about, and we could ask Josh for a fresh, we could do something on a day. Like if I don't know, they'll probably drag us to go to our respective things. But this wouldn't just have to be a 30-minute every 2 week kind of thing. Like if we wanted to do something that was a morning, like if we had an afternoon or a morning, we could have a couple hours, or we could bring somebody in, absolutely. Yeah. Or we could have someone virtually come. But, a lot of that is just, when I think of professional development, I think of the awareness level. Oh, okay, I need to know that's possible. there's the hands-on, and then there's like actually doing it with kids. And you want to get to that last level. But, the awareness has a role. I prefer doing the hands-on because that's when it becomes most meaningful, as you get to do it.
Right.
But, anyway, thematically, what I thought I might do with the theme, unless you have a burning topic, is I can send out a survey. So we've got the different tools that are in there, and we could see for those. We've only got about 6 of us, I think, that have indicated interest. So what day do you think? Wednesdays, Mondays?
Wednesdays or Thursdays.
Wednesdays or Thursdays? Okay.
Good for me, because Mondays we usually run into like late first.
I'd rather not do it at the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
Either,
Yeah,
so.
I think Thursday is gonna be better, and the reason why I say that is because I'm thinking about other types of meetings that happen.
Right.
So like academic meetings could run to Thursdays, but sometimes when we have fewer kids,
They don't.
we can do it in 2 days.
Okay. So, and the other thing we already kind of have going is we've set up for during COVID, we set up this support where I kind of moved this support site over. And so we called it the Genius Bar, but we started to have some workshops, and, there's nothing really, scheduled at this point after our August stuff that we did, but this can be something that we do. We put it here, there's a calendar, and we can also, at some point encourage visibility for it. I'm fine with grassroots. I really like a invitational and celebratory culture. I was talking to Lynn Robertson. She's taken me under her wing as our department language chair, helping me with my lessons and this whole pedagogy called comprehensible input, which means you're trying to talk slowly and about interesting things that kids, not just giving them vocabulary lists and memorizing, but, learning language by being immersed in it. Anyway, we were talking about just, cultures of learning and how ideally, we're having opportunities to interact with each other and learn things, share things. We're being supported as we take risks and we try new things. And so ideally this group, will be a place where we can share those kinds of things, stuff that we've tried, things that we've actually used with students, because, we could try to do a linear, let's cover everything, but no, it's just going to be too much. So, all right, well, let's plan for 2 weeks from this Thursday as our next one. And then do you all have a topic that you would just love to tackle?
As weird as it sounds, I'm totally fine with saying if there's a curriculum and just kind of work our way through the curriculum, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't have a burning need of anything that
There is. It's
So
just that
is
the
there
tools don't have to come in order,
Yeah,
So.
is there a list of?
So on the site, so if you go to the, and I'll share this link with you. You can just also Google Teacher Education Center. This is where they've got the different products and things like that. So, diving into forms, they've got.
So I feel like I have basic comprehension of how to use Classroom and Doc and Forms and stuff. But it's almost one of those things where I don't know what I don't know.
The other thing that we might do now that I've taken the test and making sure I'm not going to, violate this NDA, like I could come up with some tasks kind of like they did, like in forms, and say, here, let's do these. And we could work through them, because that was part of what that did was highlight. I did Google a couple things when I was taking the test, which you could do, as far as how to specifically do that with a chart. The spreadsheet stuff in there would definitely probably be stuff my wife, I don't think she has done.
Oh, I get. I'm not a spread. I can put kids' names in a spreadsheet.
Right, but some form doing, and it wasn't super tough, but it was formulas, it was averages, it was charts, it was making a couple charts from, some things.
Although I'm not gonna lie, if I'm doing a Google form and I'm gonna export it into a spreadsheet, I'm just gonna export it into Excel.
Right.
But there are a lot of the same principles apply.
Right.
The formulas, the syntax that's required.
Yep. Well, what we might do, because then we're also coming up on 4:30, is so I'm not doing nearly the presentations I used to do at one time. I did a session on YouTube tips and tricks, and I'll share the link here with you. And I could share 5 minutes or 10 minutes worth of stuff, or we could take that as the next topic. Today could kind of be the orientation overview, and then we could dive into YouTube a little more next time if we want to, or we could do something else. We don't have to.
I would say if there's any Google product that I know the least about, excluding the excursions and Jamboard, which I think are relatively new.
Right.
I mean, I know that they bought YouTube quite a while ago, but I have never posted anything on YouTube. I've never done anything with YouTube.
Yep.
The best I've done has been like, I like that video, I'm going to save it to my playlist.
Right.
I don't know.
That's about where my.
Why don't we do this? Because I had aspirations to do more slides than this. This is my last slide. And so I can put together maybe I'll do both. Here's some highlights, but then here's some tasks. And then we could do that, because I really do think the hands-on, ideally, because we can all, I mean, I was a debater in college too, right? We can talk fast. We can cover a lot of stuff, but the meaningful part is really going to be more if you can do it and try it. So maybe we can set that up as here's a couple highlights and tips, but then here's a task. And I will not be, people watching the video, who knows where Big Brother is these days, of course, doing exactly what was on the test, but having done that now and seeing the format, then that same kind of a thing where here's a scenario, these things, because, creating playlists and being able to subscribe and being able to think about how you're going to share and put those in different places and links would be great. So maybe we'll tackle that for the next one. And then we can.
And I'd be perfectly fine saying that we probably need more than one session on YouTube.
Well, and do we want more than 30 minutes? I like the idea of not asking people to commit to too much.
I'm perfectly fine saying if we need to spend 2 or 3 meetings on YouTube or to cover topic, like I think the 30 minutes is good. If we need to go a little bit over, we have some buffer room, but that's a nice.
Well, and Thursdays, if we're meeting on Thursdays too, that's nice too, because it comes at the end of the week. And we all pretty much know how our week is going to shape up.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can do this. We can say we'll do check-ins and updates, because like if people share too, like something you've learned since the last time or something like that, that's a good thing too. But we could say by 30 minutes we'll be done, like with a recorded part, like things we're going to share.
Yeah.
But then we'll have the task sheet of activities, and if you want to stay
like
and do that, kind of like
I like
there you
that
go,
a
like
lot.
that.
I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, because thinking about this now, I'm just thinking about, well, wait a minute. Google does own YouTube.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Another way that I could integrate this with my classroom, which is an option anyway, is that you can put in a YouTube link. Wouldn't it be really helpful, since if you're listening, Google, I really want the subcategories in classrooms, I'm just saying, is to then say, well, here are all the videos that I made with Explain Everything.
Yes.
You put it on YouTube, make a playlist, so somebody could just say, okay, well, if I wanted to watch all of chapter 2 videos, bam.
For subcategories, like you can create material and put it under a category in classwork, which doesn't have a grade though.
But here's what I want, like within classwork, I have topics, but you can't create subtopics.
Oh, okay.
So what I really want to be able to do, this is actually, I can't believe I'm saying this is the one thing that I can do with my Casady that I can't do in Google Classroom. Because I could say, my Casady, here's a topic, and then you get a separate, because it's like it's web page based. You get a web page for that topic, and then I can break it down into like, this is the handout, these are the videos, these are I don't know, something else, right? The homework assignments. I was gonna post it that way. And I can't do that in Google Classroom. And so it's creating this really convoluted space, because I'm conflicted as to, well, do I want to group them by type? And then it doesn't matter what chapter it's in or topic, it's all getting mixed together.
Yes.
Or do I want to group it by topic?
Yes.
And then how do I organize the different types of
When you have to pick one topic for to go in, it's very limiting.
And I am not the only one, because there are a bunch of other teachers who have requested
Well,
this,
let's
and I was
continue
like,
that conversation as a sidebar, because I'll visit with Josh and Sandy too, because I don't know where they are, but there's awareness at our administrative level. I know Nathan, I've talked with him about it, that we need to move to a better learning management system as a school. Yeah. So there's acknowledgement of that, and I think we can, move that conversation forward, because it's something that it's big, it's important, it needs to have a lot of faculty dialogue, but there's not a guarantee that it will happen either. So anyway,
There are, yes.
Emily, do you want to meet in your room next time?
We can, though.
Well, what is Emily's room
have
now?
a room.
Or we can meet here. I mean, we don't have to rotate around, but I think especially if we do end up getting some middle and lower and primary people,
Yeah, I'm
going to some
happy
other parts of campus. But
Sarah might have, well, because this display is much better.
yeah. Oh, this is one of the newest displays we have
Yes.
in the.
Yeah, I was offering my classroom because I know in the upper division, I have one of the larger rooms, so it's
Oh yeah.
better for
No,
us to
it's
space
good.
out with the AirPlay, with the TV, so it,
Are you with an H or without?
with.
So is my daughter. So, okay. So there we go. Next 2 weeks from Thursday, the 24th, we'll do 4 p.m. We'll be back here. And then if I'll let the directors know, rather than me sending it out, I just thought I would send it to them and let them share it. But anyway,
Would that be the 24th or would that be the 1st of October?
Oh, is that? Yeah, you might be right. Because next week is the 24th.
I'm
isn't it?
totally, if we wanted to do the 24th, I'm okay with that. From an upper division standpoint, that's advantageous because the next day for us, Emily, are the parent conferences.
Okay.
So we literally
just
have
thinking-
nothing.
You're right. That's only 1 week. I'm fine with either one because I can do.
I'm, like, it's just like a day where it's like, we could go long on that day and I'm not worried about it because I don't have a lesson.
It's
for the next day.
whatever y'all want to do. If y'all want to,
I'll let Emily
because
decide.
1 October would be. You're right. That's 2 weeks. I didn't skip
I'm
enough
okay
weeks.
with the 24th with you all.
And then start that as the 2 week cycle.
And then start our 2 week cycle then.
Well, the next one, though, well, the only
Oh,
problem
it's
with
fall
that
break?
is the next one's is the Thursday before fall break,
We don't do that.
which.
Okay. Well, why don't we just set next time for the 24th, and then we can start looking at, because if we wanted to plan like this fall, like here's some dates, we'll get them on the calendar. We can think about topics, and that'll be one of the things we'll talk about next time.
All right.
Okay.
So here's my question to you.
All right.
Are you going to send a calendar?
Yes.
Should I put on my calendar?
I will. I will send a calendar. I'm going to invite our group. You're in our group, so I'm going to put it on the Genius Bar calendar, and I will invite the group. And then if there's anybody else we know of who wants to be a part of it, we can put them in the group too, and they'll get the calendar invitations and
Excellent.
all that good stuff.
Sarah, if there's anyone who ever